Welcome back, Troglodytes, to another episode of Trogly's Guitars. What do we have today? Well, it's a beautiful 1981 Gibson Les Paul Custom in a gorgeous Tobacco Sunburst finish. A Tobacco Sunburst Custom. Honestly, these things are kind of hard to find and rare from the late 70s, early 80s, because most people that have them don't sell them. I know when I was first buying my first Gibson, which I guess my first vintage Gibson to me, the 70s was what I was looking for, because I really loved the Silverburst finish, but I wanted an older original one. But at the same time I thought, hey, if I could find a Sunburst for a good price, I would want that too. But finding one was so difficult. I mean, I was willing to pay like up to $3,000 back in that day, and I just couldn't find them. So that's how I initially found my 50th anniversary, because those are the most plentiful Sunburst, Tobacco Sunburst Les Pauls out there from that era. And they've got, the fancy electronics and the fancy inlays and headstock. But finding just these straight customs can be kind of hard, so finding a Tobacco Sunburst custom is quite a treat, really, because they have such a distinctive look from this era. They just really knew how to spray them. They're really reminiscent of a 2550. So if you can't necessarily afford a 50th anniversary, or you don't like the fancy electronics and whatnot, these are a great option, because when they do come up, they're usually cheaper than a 50th anniversary. This is a player's grade example. It has a few changed out parts that keep it more affordable, and the back of the neck was refinished. But other than that, it's break, crack, repair free, and ready to join your arsenal. Let's take a look at it. The front of the headstock here, you're going to notice the tuners are a little bit wonky, because they're actually supposed to be 6 on a side tuners. You can see 3 of them are upside down and 3 are normal. The good thing is there were no extra screw holes drilled, so they don't have their pilot screws. That doesn't really affect them too much. They still stay in tune pretty alright. But if you wanted to restore this guitar, you could without any evidence of them ever being changed. But besides that, I mean, when you're tuning, you have to tune these ones the opposite way that you're used to, since they're upside down. But other than that, the tuners aren't too bad. The front of the headstock is actually fairly clean. You can see some light string change wear and tear, but overall nothing too bad. The lacquer really has not aged too much. Now remember, nothing else has been refinished on this guitar except for the back of the neck. We'll go on to the ebony fretboard. This one has been refretted. I wouldn't say they're like super jumbo railroad track frets, but they're definitely not tiny either. They've got kind of a nice, meatiness to them, which honestly, refretted customs are my favorite from this era, because the original frets, they're pretty low. Yes, they are playable, and once you get used to them, they are fairly enjoyable. But once you get one that has just a little bit taller frets, closer to as they were new, it really, really, really enhances the playability of the guitar. Sure, you lose your fret nib ends, but you really don't miss them once they're gone. The refret job was pretty good. I'm trying to get it in the light here. You can see some tooling marks kind of around each of the frets, because ebony's really hard to refret. Usually it'll split and crack and all that, but this job really wasn't too bad. I mean, just some very light wear and tear, but no like major cracks out of the fretboard or anything. So nice professional job there. On to the body here. The body's in pretty good shape. We'll start up here. You can see some scratching in the clear coat in this area, but nothing too bad. Just your average player's wear. I mean, it's not mint condition by any means, but it's not really trashed either, surprisingly. I'll run the light over it here. Now you do have the original speed knobs yet. They've got that nice glowing agey look to them, which looks very cool. The original bridge and tailpiece. You have Gibson USA pickups. They're like 496R, 498T, something like that. and original switch tip and all that, original pick guard. So it's just the pickups and the tuners that have been swapped out on this one. Onto the back of the headstock here, you can see the serial number is 83231531, made in USA stamp. You still have your volute. And there were no breaks, cracks, or repairs to this guitar at all. I'm not sure why the back of the neck was refinished. Maybe they had sanded it down and didn't like it, or I don't know, maybe just players wear and they wanted it refinished for whatever reason. But this is refinished very similar to a 90s custom. The 90s custom, they looked similar to this color and they had a dark heel. So I'm guessing this was probably refinished sometime in the 90s, because it's still semi-what glows under Blacklight, as we'll see later, but it's not like brand new. So it feels right. Up here it's a little bit more of like a matte finish, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But overall, I mean, you've got a small little ding right there. Try to hit it against the light so you can see, but the neck itself is in good shape. You do have some very light wear and tear. There's a little bit of a ding there. And there's a little bit of a ding here. And with this ding right there, this part was actually refinished, like an overspray of the refinish. You'll see that in the Blacklight test as well. But overall, the neck feels good. If you would prefer it sanded down, you can do that without feeling bad. But this is a player's grade guitar. And now the back. I love the back on this guitar. Look at that, guys. You've got flame. And not just tiny little bits of it either. I mean, that's fairly active for a back of a guitar. And that's really a big selling point for this guitar, I think. I mean, if you can live with the neck being refinished and getting, you know, quite a bit of money off for that, and having a sweet back like that, I love this guitar. But as you can see in the light, once we get it in the light, there is some, you know, buckle wear in the clear coat. And the back finish is original. So you've got some wear and tear from playing, but overall not too bad. Your electronics are 1980 pot codes, which could be original, but they also might be replaced since they're slightly later. However, in my 83 Spotlight specials, they actually usually had 280 pots and 283s, so they were definitely trying to use up some old inventory back then. Once again, just look at that flame. I love it. She weighs a beefy 10 pounds, 7.3 ounces, so you're about at 8.5 pounds. I'm sorry, 10.5 pounds. So you're about 10.5 pounds. But overall, this guitar, it feels really heavy in the body area, not so much the neck. I noticed that when holding it. So it's definitely a body-heavy guitar, but it feels so powerful to wield. Something else that I might not have pointed out was this beautiful mineral streak right there. It's kind of a characteristic mark. I love having stuff like that on your guitar, because even if somebody steals your guitar, takes your serial number off, you still have that identifying feature.
Now, in the late 70s, early 80s, Gibson did not put a traditional ground wire in these guitars. They used kind of a shielding plate system. That has been reversed in this guitar, and a traditional ground wire has been drilled from the bridge pickup cavity to the bridge post there. So that is an added feature.
The pots date to 1980 in here. And you can see, I put a little piece of electrical tape because there was a little bit of bare wire showing. That's not taped on, it is soldered on, so you don't have any worries there. I just did that to avoid any future complications. And here's the end of that grounding wire that I showed you in the bridge pickup cavity. Something else to note here is that a screw's missing here because the wood kind of cracked away in there, so nothing can actually be screwed into there. The original screw will still be inside the case though if you want it. We'll do a Blacklight test here. You can see the front of the headstock slacker is good. You can kind of see the finish is kind of chipped a little bit by the bushings there due to the pressure, but nothing too bad. Once again, the guitar has been refretted, and something I missed earlier is it does have Schaller strap buttons there, but the front finish is all good. As you can see, original knobs as well. The back's where we got some explaining. Right there, underneath the tuners there, you can kind of see that it's glowing a different color to the point where it almost really feels like the back of the neck has been refinished. I mean, you can see the color that it should be glowing back here, that nice dark green, but it's not quite the same hue, and that's why I'm saying it's been refinished. There's definitely been some sort of touch-up going on the back of the neck, but I am not seeing any breaks, cracks, or repairs to really speak of. So you're safe on this guitar as far as that. And there you can kind of see that ding more clearly that they tried overspraying, but it's still kind of there. But the back of the guitar is good. It doesn't quite glow as evenly. So I guess there could have been some touch-up work on the back, but I really doubt it. It's only the neck that I believe has been refinished. But I'll let you take this Blacklight test for what it is, and you can form your own opinions. The sides of the guitar are in good shape. And you can see some finish kind of chipped there by the tuning peg. The strap block. But overall, good shape. This guitar does come with its original Generation 3 chainsaw cases. This is the larger molded plastic one with the metal latches. This one still has its Gibson logo on it, and it's looking good, not super scratched up or anything. Honestly, this case itself is in pretty good shape. All latches are still present, and it's got a beautiful brown interior. I think I prefer the brown interior ones. They just kind of have a very old feel to them, and it definitely complements the finish very well. The only thing to really note is the lid ribbon here. These are famous for breaking. Feeling this material, that's definitely been replaced, so that's not the original lid ribbon, but hey, at least you have a lid ribbon. Now that we know what she looks like, let's hear how she sounds. you might want to be the next owner of this gorgeous Gibson Les Paul Custom from 1981, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Troglys. You can also check out the listings on eBay or Reverb. We'll catch you next time. Bye.